Go on, John!
And well done to Molly.
So hello and welcome to an overcast Monday in South Yorkshire. If you followed my running journey recently, you will know that I decided to sack the idea of running an autumn marathon 2024 and decided instead to focus on improving my 10k times. And I suggested that this 10k series would be called Project 39. Project 39 because that is the number I want my 10k time to start with by the end of this series. So for a bit of background, between 2003 and 2012 I used to knock out 33 and 34 minute 10ks with regularity, but it is now 7 years since I last broke 40 minutes for that distance, which is my favourite distance. So far this year I've raced 2 10ks, run 42 minutes at each of them, so I'm hoping that a dedicated block of training can get me back under the magical 40 minutes. Yesterday, the 22nd of September, gave me an early chance for a season's opener. I had entered the Redcar half marathon, planning to run it with Dawn. She sought to qualify for the England Masters, but I noticed they also had a 10k going, the Redcar Festival of Running. So I'd swapped my entry to a 10k. So without further ado, I'll take you back to yesterday and the Yorkshire seaside town of Redcar. So Project 39 commences with a tester run on the Zetland 10k, not one I was expecting to do till about 48 hours ago, but it's a reasonably flat course, quite breezy coming back up as the wind comes off the North Sea, but we'll just use it as a test to see where we are 10k wise and crack on from there. So the Zetland 10k was part of the Redcar Festival of Running, which included a half marathon, a 5k and a 2k. Some unusual timing chips here. You hang these as two, they belong to the club that's organising the race, so they're recyclable, but they're sort of flap around a bit. It was nice to meet fellow YouTuber Stephen, who would be recording the whole race with a GoPro strapped to his head. So the Zetland 10k started at 9:10, which was 50 minutes before Dawn's half marathon was about to start, so the idea was I'd finish in time for her to film me and me to film her. So it's quite a subdued start, and we're off on the Zetland 10k 2024. So we start off by running about 200 yards down southwards away from the town of Redcar. Dawn taking some footage here of the start of the race. There's me. And then we would turn around and run back past the start area and run up towards the main town of Redcar. So we can see people sort of coming past me in the first part of the race. So as I said earlier, my target was to try and hit 42 minutes or under. That was my ideal goal, but I was quite prepared to run 42 something because I'd already run 2 42-minute 10ks this year and treat it as a nice tester and day out on the Yorkshire coast. So just getting into pace and wanting to ease into this run fairly carefully. As we go down the road here, we can see there's quite a few people in front of me, and we reach the turnaround point and go back up towards the start area. I think in the entire 10k there were about 300 runners. There were nearly 600 runners in the half marathon that Dawn was in, and then as I say there was also a 5k and a 2k taking place. So feeling comfortable at this stage, feeling I'm running with a nice running style, something I'll come back to in future videos, as I pass Dawn and pass by the start area and head northwards towards Redcar. The finish of the race will be just on the left there into Zetland Park. We've got to go about 1.5 miles up, then all the way back down and further down, and then round again. So I think this race had 3 U-turns in all, but it is actually, apart from that, a potentially very fast course because it's pretty flat. The North Sea is about 50 yards to our right, but although it was a little bit breezy on the day, it wasn't as windy as it might have been. So now we're into 1 kilometre and I'm starting to go past people. Past the 1 kilometre mark in 4:14, 140 heart rate. Now that is just outside 42-minute pace, but I'm not concerned at this point as I am making progress through the field. You can see me passing people, and I'm more interested in how many gears I can go through as we go through the race. You can see the North Sea on the right, not a particularly choppy day, to say quite benign conditions compared to what they could have been, and I'm just getting into rhythm now. So I'm sure you'd like a potted history of the Yorkshire town of Redcar. So for many years it was a small fishing village, and then when the nearby town of Middlesbrough grew in the 19th century, so Redcar grew as a seaside resort. It had a pavilion, it had a pier that was actually decommissioned in the 1940s to stop it being used as a potential invasion base. A racecourse was built in 1875, and the town still boasts 2 railway stations. And it also boasts this rather lovely running festival. Hats off to Newmarsk Carriers, the running club, who organised this particular set of races. You can just see Stephen there in the blue and white vest. He's the one running around with a GoPro on his head, and he's taking footage of the race too. So if you check out Zetland 10k on YouTube, you'll find his coverage of the race there too. So you can see I'm breathing heavily, but nothing too bad at present. I know I'm working at a pace I can probably maintain and hopefully even crack on from. So just going past this little group of 3 runners here, feeling strong. So it's around this point you go through the 2k marker. I did the second kilometre in 4:07, which was a 7-second improvement on kilometre 1. You can just see the leaders coming back down now. They've just gone around the bollards where we'll be reaching very soon, and here we are with the marshal very enthusiastically telling us to make a wide turn round. So running back down now towards the area where the race started. Now I've actually got my watch set up in a distinctive way. I think that really helped me during the race. I'd set my Coros to run a session of 10 times 1k reps with 0 recovery. So what it meant was that every time I looked at my watch, and you may see me glancing at my watch quite a few times during this race, I could see exactly what average pace I'd done for that particular kilometre. But myself being an imperial fella, it was telling me in minute miles. So I was seeing around 6:40 minute miling, which I knew at this point was under 42 minute pace. So I could see the average pace for that kilometre. I could also see the kilometre counting down from 0.62, because that's what it is in imperial, 0.62 down to 0.61. Next time I looked it might be 0.5, 0.4, etc. So I was watching those numbers all the way through. I'm coming back through the start area here, got these lovely volunteers handing out water. Water isn't something I tend to take on over a 10k, but much appreciated offer. So long-standing viewers of the channel will know I'm a massive fan of the club organised race, and Newmarsk Carriers done an absolutely fantastic job, not just with this race but with every race happening during the morning. You can see Dawn there, my mobile camera crew, and here I am coming, and I'm actually really pleased with the way I'm going at the minute. Going well. Huh? Going well.
Good. Go John!
Yes, go John indeed, as those kilometres are now ticking off nicely under 42 minute pace. We've now got to run about 3k out towards the town of Newmarsk, and then 3k back to the finish area. And if there's any fan of running in a straight line up and down on tarmac, it's certainly me. Now, just going back to that watch setup, psychologically what it helped me to do was to run each kilometre as it came. So I just focused on the kilometre I was in, trying to keep it under 6:40 pace on my watch, which was coming out at the 4:08 you're seeing. There are a few runners up ahead who I try and chase down and form packs with, but at the minute I'm pretty much running solo and still maintaining a consistent pace. So yes, the last 4 kilometres have been a 4:07, 2 4:08s, and now a 4:06. And I am really finding that setup on my watch helping, just keeping me honest each time, each kilometre, not think about what's to come, just running the kilometre I am in. Just able to pick off the odd runner, as we can see going down. There's also a 5k race going at the minute, so some of the runners you see coming the other direction are in the 5k race. So we've got 2 ladies in front now, and they are the ones that are in sight, but they're both running really strongly, so I'm not particularly bothered about catching them at the minute, because any wind we've got is slightly behind us. But I do know in a little while we will be turning, we might be coming up into some wind, so there's a possible thought there of trying to get into a group. So another 4:08 there, living my best life, ticking off even paced run on lovely flat tarmac 10k. So inching a little bit closer to these 2 runners in front, and I'm well aware, as I say, we'll be turning soon and I could need some shelter. So running past a school on the right there, brand name I know very well, we'll just leave it there. So we're just passing by the 7 kilometre mark now, and we're going to see the lead runner starting to come through. and very soon it'll be our turn to get to the turnaround point. And as I said, I'm conscious that going back northwards, back up to Redcar, we are going to be hitting a little bit of breeze. So here we go. I've nearly caught those two runners in front, so my idea is to form a pack of 3 and perhaps work together to get ourselves back to the finish area as quickly as possible. But it didn't quite pan out like that, because yes, as you can see, I managed to get onto the back of them, but these two I think are actually 2nd and 3rd in the race at this point, so they're pushing each other on. I think the lady who's currently in 1st is within sight, so they are really ramping it up, winding up the pace. So as I get near them, the pace increases. So really I'm very grateful to both of them for helping me through this section of the race between kilometre 7 and kilometre 9 as we get towards the business end of this 10k race. So I'd actually expected to slow coming back up towards the finish, as I say, coming to the bit of the breeze, but we can see we're gradually starting to wind it up. I've now run 7 straight kilometres, all between 4:06 and 4:08, and I really enjoy that aspect of racing, doing it metronomically and consistently. So I think the lady in blue is just starting to edge ahead, but the lady in black's coming back, so there's a real good battle on. And in that battle they have caught up to a lady there in green, who I think was at that point in 1st. There's another chap there. I'm checking my watch again to make sure that I'm within the range I want for each particular split on this 10 times 1k session. We'll just pass the lady who's now in 3rd, and a couple of, that's the new Mars Carrier's vest on the left here. So really starting to wind up the pace quite nicely. I'm really very grateful to these two ladies here. You can see that kilometre 9 is actually the quickest run of the race so far for me, a 4:03, and I decide now as we enter the last kilometre I'm going to put the hammer down, and if anybody wants to follow me, they're more than welcome to do so, and we can all work together into this last kilometre up towards the finish area. My heart rate's going up now into the mid 180s. I get it up to near 190. Still look at that watch to see what pace we're on, and just check that we are on pace for a sub 42 minute 10k. Passing another chap here in black as we come towards the finish area. I can almost smell that finish line now, just passing the 7 mile marker for the half marathon, which Dawn will see later. Still checking that watch, John, but we're very pleased. But what have we got here? We've got one of those ladies has made a break for it, the new Mars Carrier. Really strong finish from her. She's really powering. She's going to be winning her local club 10k, so hats off to her. And we're really sort of motoring now, just coming into the finish area into the left in Zetland Park. So I'll stop talking now so we can enjoy the finish of the race. So absolutely buzzing there. That's my fastest time probably since about 2018, 2017, I will have to check, but exceeded my expectations. Really pleased. I decided to drop down from the half and do the Zetland 10k this morning. I was even more pleased a few days later to find out I was in the prizes, because as they are awarded based on age grading, I was 16th overall, and I'm awaiting a lovely prize from New Mars Carriers. As I said on a recent video, everyone has their thing in running, and my thing is definitely a reasonably flat road 10k like this one. So there we go, folks, kicking off Project 39 with a 41:06. I was really delighted to be racing a 10k, which is the sort of running I love best, and delighted to knock a decent chunk over my comeback PB. So despite the overcastness of the South Yorkshire skies, I am still buzzing inside from yesterday's performance. I'm really excited for the rest of this training block to see how far I can go over the 10k distance. So the next video in this series will be going through the 4 things I'm going to do to knock off those 67 seconds I need to find to get myself back under 40 minutes. So if you would like to see the thought processes I have gone through and where I think the biggest gains are to be made in training, then please consider subscribing to the channel so you can see what I'm planning to do and how I get on in the 10Ks we've got coming up soon. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like, and I hope to see you on the next one.
And so until next time, keep on keeping on.
Keep on keeping on.